Now, next up is Lukáš, our friend of Noise.kitchen. Lukáš is going to talk about Tonetastic. He's developing an app for teaching sound design, and today he's going to share the progress on that app with us. So take it away, Lukáš.
Yeah, hello. I totally feel like imposter here after all the presentations, but I'll talk a bit about what is it, why I'm doing it, and how I'm doing it. So this is basically like what I want to do here and what are my goals. So I want to explain the project in itself. I want to measure the interest, if it's like sensible to actually continue making it or like go to another project. This is the new thing I'm trying out, which is like not to try to finish project and burn out. It's like to do like something simple and see if people are interested. I want to give something in return, so give the overview of the software. So I guess I'm on the highest abstraction level here from all the guys, and show demo, which hopefully will be working. Like you will be able to play around with it, like on your devices, which I'll like. This is a little spoiler. So, what is it? It's basically like Maciej said, is a sound design learning platform. It's a web app, so it works on any device. At least that's the idea behind it. Why it's web app, I'll talk in a moment. And this is also my stab at doing like quote unquote small business, because after trying a bit like standard startup things, it's not for me to do it like the main guy. I can do it for someone else, but I prefer doing like small sustainable. Seems like a way better way than doing like the unicorn millions and all that stuff, because I actually want to do things and not like try to get money from investors, which is probably stupid. But yeah, the one thing I need to work on is to work on my pitch, because I'm terrible at it, because I'm a software guy, so I have no proper soft skills or any like marketing skills. So basically it's inspired by brilliant.org and SoundGym, and then people are like, I don't know any of this. So I'm like, okay. So then I go to learn by recreating sounds you hear in lesson. Then you test what you've learned in a test and get scored. Because you're probably musicians or you do something with music, you'll get a bit more understanding about that. What I mean, like start with most basic exercises. Hey, I hear a square wave. Let's pick a square wave, and that's it. And build from there. Like go more and more complex. It starts only with subtractive synthesis. I'm only prepared for that for now. We'll add other later, and how I want to do that, I'll talk a bit in more technical part about that. This is the sneak peek at the designs, which are looking way better than demo right now, because I did not really follow them all that well, because I was trying to make demo work at any capacity, and I'm not a good like visual. So this is how it will look like. That is a sneak peek, and later you will see, if you want, how it looks like right now. But that should give you a bit of idea of the exercises and how they should work. You've got like the simplest one on your left, which is like just pick the wave type. Then there is the ADSR, the basic stuff still, but like builds upon the knowledge. And then there is like add filter, and then we can go with like LFOs and stuff. So why am I building it? Apart from wanting to learn some things and trying my hands on building something. I'm quote-unquote musician, and the sound design, at least for me, is very painful. I need to go to YouTube videos or some articles or try to mess around, but it's very chaotic and not organized, and I have big problem with that even still now. And I realize the best results are when I'm doing things. So when I just watch a YouTube video and don't do anything about it, I will forget everything. So by making that in your web browser, that should probably be a way better way of learning that. And I found no good existing options. Someone told me about Syntorial, which is close enough to be considered a competitor, but not close enough to not do it. Basically, they're not multi-platform. I think they are web only on like desktop. They have app only on iPad, and they have their own like VST that you can plug in. Like they're teaching you a general synthesizer stuff on their own synthesizer that you can use, which is, I mean, it's fine, but it's not something I want from this project. So probably I will lose some quote unquote market share there, but I still think there is like a lot of potential, especially when I'm like on a tram, I have my headphones on. I could be like doing some exercises, like people already using Duolingo, for example, a lot. So someone could jump in for a quick session of sound design because, hey, it's like all in browser, right? So my technical goals is hosting as simple as possible. And I'll explain that later. Do not use any modern JavaScript frameworks because I have strong opinions about them. Easy to move to cloud if need arises. Hopefully that will happen because I will get so much traffic that I will have to do it. And avoid external dependencies. So basically I want to build as much things by myself as possible to learn and to have control over especially core parts. So if something breaks, I know how to fix it. But there are some things I can like quote unquote outsource. So this is me. I'm a backend caveman. I mean developer. So I really hate like the modern front end and stuff. And right now, all this Tonetastic is two services, is Tonetastic and Chiron. I have a thing of naming my especially services working for like not publicly available after the Greek mythology. Both are living on the Raspberry Pi that's in my apartment, and it's working, it's available, and it's pretty safe, I hope. And I didn't use like any modern frameworks. It's very easy to move to cloud because I will get into small details in a moment, but basically if I could deploy it on Raspberry Pi, I can deploy it on any cloud available. Basically zero costs if you like don't count domain and Raspberry Pi. And yeah, as I said, I'm doing as much by myself as it's reasonable, partially because I want to learn some stuff along the way. So why I want to keep hosting as simple as possible. I'm not familiar with managing infra. I've slept on some of the DevOps stuff, and for example, Docker was not a thing I was familiar with all that with. I want to focus on other things, but learn essentials. So I know how to deploy things. I know how to check it health. I know how to restart the thing. I don't want to get like a very deep expertise in that. Like I said, if it's easy to host now, it's easy to move and put somewhere else if needs be. And to be honest, I don't need anything fancy, even if it's like it's a giant success in like my scope. It's still manageable by probably maybe even still the Raspberry Pi, and it should be working with any tech possible. So I'm thinking about doing a small tutorial about like written on some blog post or somewhere how to do it, because it's fairly simple, but having it written down is quite useful. I would really appreciate that. So this is Chiron, my first service I've put on Raspberry Pi, because and I think I'll mention that I already have some bit of legacy code, which is very funny, because it all started with just software website. And I realized because I want to collect emails, I need to figure this out. So I reached out to a lawyer to get like, hey, if I'm collecting emails, what I need to do. So I've got the proper terms of service, like, hey, what I'm doing with your emails and stuff. Maybe that's paranoid, maybe not. But by that time, I had like the website that I didn't want to touch because it's front end, and I not really good. Like I made it look okay, so that was like, okay. I don't want to try to fix it because I'll break it. So I wired it up to make.com to basically when you sign up, I will get a notification on my Apple Watch, and also it will do a webhook to Caron, which will send an email saying, hey, thanks for signing up. Please click this link to verify that you actually allow having sent some emails. The Caron is also a pretty nice project because I wrote basically everything from startup. I didn't use any code generation, which was very humbling experience because I was writing in a tech stack I'm very familiar with, but still you don't usually do a lot of greenfield projects like exactly from scratch. So I forgot about very essential things and was wondering, hey, why it's not working? Oh, yes, because normally this is auto-generated and I need to write this part myself. But it gave me a bit more understanding how some things work. So it's stressful, but I really recommend doing for small project. This is like, I don't know, 200 lines of code, 100 lines of code, excluding the email HTML. So that's a very simple website that just accepts 2 endpoints or 3 because I also got a health check for that. So that's the make integration. Very simple. You'll see the ignore from the HTTP request. Apparently, you need to do something with HTTP request afterwards. So you can just ignore it, which is perfect. And this is basically my legacy code, but it was working already really good. Like I'm surprised how well no-code tools work if you actually can code, because you can integrate them with your like services, and it's very simple to connect to software app. And this is the Docker Compose. Like in its entirety, you can even see the cursor blinking, like it was actually blinking when I did the screenshot. So the first one is Caron, the second one is just Postgres that's being used there to persist data. Standard Docker Compose. I should also have Dockerfile, which is also quite simple. It's a bit bigger that you can see, but the one thing that was tricky was to make all the images work together. You will see there's like Elixir 1.15, Erlang 24.3, Alpine 3.16. It took me some time to find the proper versions for that, which is not ideal. But basically, nothing fancy. And after that, and very simple, you'll see at the bottom, there is entry point.bash, which basically starts the app with, if you're using your favorite language, that's the command to start the app, command to run the migrations or create the database, and that's it. Like it's very simple. The weird part are the like from as build, and basically everything else is typical bash. So that should be fairly easy for anyone writing code as their like main thing to do. And it seems like, okay, oh, now I'm not a DevOps, I won't be doing that. But turns out like there are all like already pre-made of those, so you don't need to write them. You don't need to repeat my mistakes because they can be auto-generated. They can be copied from somewhere. I spent some time to actually try to make it work because I was writing a lot of this by hand. And for example, I forgot some of the runtime dependencies, which was very fun to debug because the errors were not so clear. So yeah, that was like a valuable learning experience, but you probably would like just to get existing Docker file. And you can just, so if I go, yeah, I can talk about it. So it lives in on Raspberry Pi. It's trivial to deploy, but it can be tricky if you're like writing everything from scratch. If you're not, you get the Docker file from somewhere, you change the names, you do Docker build, Docker compose up. I do it in Tmax session because I don't know, because I like to see logs all the time. If you have domain and Raspberry Pi or any other computer, really, that those are zero cost. You can run it on your typical computer. I just wanted to have something that's turned on all the time. If something breaks, you didn't need to wait for anyone to fix it. Unless NPM, I was actually trying to deploy the proper version yesterday in the evening, like with working front end and stuff. And NPM was doing maintenance to their infra, which was, no worries, bro, it will be fine, but you cannot like get anything from us now. And if you went into the packages, there was like not found for any single package. So that was fun and very stressful in the evening before the presentation, but luckily they fixed that. And it really increases your skills and understanding. So I started not only like be able to do this more and more reliably, but also I understand why things work and why they don't work. And if I need to move to cloud, I know exactly if there is error, I know exactly if that's error on my part or like the cloud config part or like Docker config part now after doing that locally. For the bad parts, if your internet is down, your whole infra is down. That's why if you go to like uptime in my dashboard, you'll see that it's not like I think I've got the screenshot later with uptime. It was like I don't know, like 2 days or something, because I had like the internet outage at my home. That gives me, I had to restart the Raspberry Pi by hand once. And it was only because someone told me they signed up and I looked into like, okay, let's see logs. And I cannot connect to my Raspberry Pi. It must be down. So it needs some extra, probably there is a better way to do that, to be honest. I need to figure it out. Maybe trying to ping it on some like a very simple local service. And cannot instantly scale up. Like, I know there are like horror stories about, I woke up to like 5 million AWS like bill because so many people went into my website and now I'm broke. But at the same time, if like I would love to have this problem, and so many people comes to like to my project that it's actually like kills the machine, then I need to go and migrate it probably to do that, or add new machines or whatever. Like it's not as easy as just click a button or have it with cloud provider like do it for you. So I really hope I will have this one. Like this is my dream problem to have. Okay, so this one I was so surprised about. Yeah, you'll see the uptime was 12 hours because I had like internet connection issues. Because it seems like exposing your Raspberry Pi or anything directly to internet seems like a lot of like asking for problems. So I heard a lot of people running honeypots, trying to get people trying to break into your server. So I was like, okay, how I can do it like properly in the proper way. And my friend told me about Cloudflare tunnels, and I'm like, okay, but I don't want to spend like shit ton of money on that because come on. And he goes, no, it's free. I'm okay. Now I'm interested. Turns out you can very simply get a free tunneling per port from your, for example, Raspberry Pi, wired up to the public host name. So, for example, the verified Tonetastic Studio is one port on my Raspberry Pi and only this one port, and demo Tonetastic Studio is other port, and every everything else is inaccessible from the internet. So verify is the address that you get in your email to sign up. And also I do the health check there. And demo is where the demo is, which is like a bit of a spoiler for later. But basically, like the setup is fairly easy. I just installed Cloudflare the runner, did like some magic commands, and like basically created a tunnel, named it, gave it a name, and then in Cloudflare dashboard, I was like, okay, so there's localhost, this port it into this host name, and it works. And I'm amazed how well it works. And you could do it like on your PC as well to expose some stuff to folks. So I told you I'm backend dev and I don't like the modern JS frameworks. And what I went with is server-side rendering. Someone can say like, dude, it's 21st century, we don't do it here. But if you think about it, like you've got your language of choice versus language of choice plus JS framework, plus probably TypeScript, plus probably some build for JS. And it's actually very performant in current year. It's been very performant for some time. It's basically sending DOM diffs via WebSockets. I'm happy to discuss it later, like if someone wants to nerd out about this. And 1, 2. 1. Oh, thanks. So we were talking with a bit about this. It's like we're getting the same idea that we used to have like 20 years ago with PHP and stuff. But it's actually pretty neat and it works pretty well, especially like I don't think we need like a big Goliath on front end to serve simple apps. I'm very opinionated when it comes especially to front end. And just sending the DOM updates for the diffs works pretty well. I'm using the Elixir with Phoenix Live View. I love this tech stack. I've been using that for a long time. And someone will say, hey, that's obscure tech. Like I didn't even hear about Elixir and you're talking me about some project inside this. Like, yeah, sure. But the same solutions I've seen in C#, Python, Ruby. So there are more mainstream techs that are slowly embracing that. Right now, I remember that I think Blazor is for C# that uses that, if I remember correctly. And I've seen it a few years ago. And I don't remember the names of Python and Ruby, to be honest. And you could also use HTMX if you like memes and using any language of your choice. If you want, it's basically sending DOM diffs by yourself by sending HTML responses instead of JSON. It's pretty neat, but because I have like really nice live view, I never bothered learning that. No, thank you. For me, the biggest pro is like no React, no Angular, no big thing for basically a very simple app. So I don't need to add like extra big dependency. The biggest con is difficult to get hired if you like skip all the React Angular because everyone basically requires that. So like beware if you go that route, because it's not like you probably still need to use some of this tech at work, but I really recommend for your personal small projects going the server-side rendering. And now like the core thing is how to make sounds in browser. And this is, I think, the longest title in this talk. And I went with Web Audio API, and someone who knows a bit about JS front-end stuff would ask about why not Tone.js, why not some other app. I will focus on Tone.js because I tried it the most, and I have like the response works for any library, but I mean, I have the most experience with Tone.js. It provides too much and too little. What I mean by that is like, it's basically a DAW in your like browser, which is way too much functionality I need and too little. I had problems with some of the functionalities I wanted to implement, like very discrete control over ADSR, for example. And this is my core feature, and now I want to have control of it, And yeah, like as I said, the similar problems are with other libraries, like I think Polytone or something like this. Web API is amazing. This is like the example of what's there, and I had it open because I still need to properly implement filters for the lessons. But basically, you've got filters, you've got all the ADSR. There is like, I heard about it and I thought, okay, like I can make some sounds or play some music, and then I went into the documentation. It's incredible what you can do. It feels a bit low level, but it's actually pretty. Once you get over some of the boilerplate code, it's actually easier to use than libs if you're not making what their libs were supposed to do. So basically being mini DOS. And I think the FM synthesis is trivial with that. I have not yet touched it, but it's because you can already modulate using anything. So that should be the trivial part. The wavetable should be quite possible as well because it accepts samples and stuff. So that could be a bit of the hack around it, but I'm quite positive that's very doable here. But basically, there is like for web X API, there's a lot of this, and it's amazing. I didn't know this word exists before that, and I highly recommend to explore that. I think Hydra, which is like the live coding tool for visuals, uses some of that for its like, because it's like the VJing tool in browser. So you can actually achieve a lot of things. The small problem is that there may be differences between how browsers actually implement those things. So, for example, when I was doing chords just to play around it, I think Safari was actually distorting the sound. But like I'm not doing chords in my project, so I don't care all that much. So those were my technical goals. Hosting as simple as possible. It's on Raspberry Pi, and it could have been easier without Docker, but I wanted to learn Docker. I could have just run it inside Tmax session, just like that would work. I'm using the server-side rendering, which I can happily talk about afterwards, probably. Easy to move to cloud is also checked, and no external dependencies were possible. So, for example, someone could say, "Oh, but Docker is external dependency." Yeah, but I'm not writing my own Docker. Like that's not the point. Like writing the core sound stuff is kind of the point here. And what's already done? If you go to demo Tonetastic Studio, you see there are 2 lessons, very simple ones. I'm lacking content here a lot, but you can go with lesson, you can go with test after lesson. Audio in your browser on any device, so it will work on the on your phone. It will work on any browser basically. I did the version 1 demo. I don't know, like 2 weeks ago or something. I got the feedback, but I didn't have time to properly implement it. And I actually managed to get, because the version 1 demo was only on my PC when I was like going from folk to folk. Now it's all deployed on my Raspberry Pi at home, so anyone can access it hopefully, because if Raspberry Pi has died, I cannot restart it from here. But what more needs to be done? Content for lessons. This is outsourceable. I can find someone who's really good at it because I'm not like great at sound design, and ask to create the content. This is like the least problematic stuff. I need to match the designs because you'll see it looks pretty differently. I have no user handling at the moment. Kinda like I do have the code. You could like, because I hidden the buttons, you cannot sign up or log in, and everything is like before the checking for the user. But that's the saving progress, showing you how much you did, how well you did, because you actually get scores, which is like pretty ugly at the moment. Probably some Makefile. This is like the low level terrible thing, but right now I'm going with all the commands for example, Docker or remoting to my interactive prompt by hand, and sometimes I forgot about them and I need to check them somewhere. It would be great to just have them in one place, which is like a really small add for Makefile, which is amazing. I'm still learning how to do it properly, but it's been a really nice one. I need to do feedback session changes. I really hope there will be like new feedback to do a bit more, and I need to figure out business model. I have no idea how I will like if it's like one-time payment, if it's subscription, or it's like free with donation, where I have no idea. I need to figure it out, because like if I want to make it a small business, that should have like a business model. So this is something I'm thinking a lot, because I hate subscriptions, but at the same time it's like a bit of a stable income. So I'm very torn here, and I have no idea how to make it work. That's the if you want to see like the software website, that's the first link. If you add demo before the domain, you go to the demo. You can like contact me by email, or go to my website, which is like the second part of the email. This is thread.info. I can show, because this is being recorded and stuff, I can show you the code afterwards, like in private, so my private code doesn't get like uploaded to YouTube. Not that this is like very impressive or amazing or whatever, but still, I may by accident show something that should not be seen publicly, and I prefer that to not be recorded. But yeah, I'm happy to talk through the code or something if someone is interested. And if someone actually goes to demo and plays around, I would be very grateful for any feedback, even if it's like, dude, that sucks. That's even like, it means that someone actually tried it and like get some response for that. So yeah, thanks. If there are any questions now, I'm happy to take them. If there are questions later, I'll be here around. So, yep.
So just briefly talk about the hosting on the Raspberry Pi. How difficult is that to set up?
So to make it like with the internet, it's you do one command to install the Cloudflare agent, and then it depends. If you want to have it in Docker, you need to prepare the Docker. Probably for your language of choice, there's already prepared Docker file that you need just to change some names. So this is more of a this is example project, and my project name is Rain, for example. So I'm changing the example project to Rain, and everything else should work. You could also like, if you really want the low effort, you can just fire up new Tmax session, and or like, I'm talking about Tmax because I installed the headless version of operating system of my Raspberry Pi, because I don't have a huge SD card there, and saving up like 3 gigabytes on UI is amazing, so I went with it. But if you have UI, you can just open up another tab on your on your console and run the program, and that's it. Like if you do the mapping on the Cloudflare, which is here, you just, after you create it, you will get the new tunnel visible in the dashboard. You press here, which was a bit counterintuitive to me. Get configure, go to public hostname, and then if your app is running on port, I don't know, 5000, then you go, okay, so if someone goes to this URL, just forward it to localhost 5000, and that's it. So this is that simple to have something running, and it's like in a safe way, because you're only exposing one thing to the internet, not like the whole machine, which I was scared to do at first.
I guess that's it. That's
Yep,
all
thanks.
questions. Thanks, Lukáš.